We've been listening to President Joe Biden roll out his plan to battle the coronavirus pandemic and sign several executive orders related to his plan, which of course comes as the U.S. is still experiencing 3,000 to 4,000 deaths a day from the virus. The president says this national strategy was put together with his coronavirus team, with Dr. Anthony Fauci at the helm, and is driven by science. A few of the details of the plan he laid out: the president is sticking to his goal of 100 million shots in his first 100 days of office. He says FEMA will start setting up vaccine centers in communities. Every state will now have a point person to act as a liaison between the state and Washington to increase communication. In other words, if the state is lacking vaccines, there'll be a quicker way of getting that information to Washington. States will be reimbursed 100% for using their own National Guard troops to administer vaccines. All Americans are being asked to wear a mask for the next 100 days. Everyone flying into the United States will now have to present a negative COVID test before entering. Those are just some of the points he laid out. For more on this, I want to bring in CBSN political reporter Caitlin Huey-Burns. Hi, Caitlin. So without a doubt, the coronavirus is the most pressing issue the new Biden administration faces, and it is not wasting any time getting right to work. We just saw the president sign all those executive orders to battle the pandemic. Break down for us what they were for.
That's exactly right. This is the most urgent task facing this brand new administration, and they have made no qualms about it. Just a couple of highlights that we just heard from President Biden. He said that this is a wartime undertaking. He described the situation that we're in as a national emergency, and that it should be treated as such. He also pledged to always level with the American people about where the administration is with the COVID response. And that's something to make note of and bookmark, because he said, we'll always straight up say what happened. This is designed to be a contrast to the Trump administration, which, of course, the former president really downplayed COVID-19 throughout the course of the past several months. He also said, look, this is going to continue to get worse before it gets better. He noted that memorial that he and Kamala Harris held at the Lincoln Memorial just a couple of nights ago, saying that that probably won't be the last, and they're expecting 500,000 deaths by next month, which is significant. So a little bit more about some of these executive actions that he just signed. And Tanya, I know you went through some of them. Some additional ones that we should note is that he's using the Defense Production Act to be able to administer testing and vaccines, to be able to get this up and running, implementing a COVID-19 testing board. He's also establishing a health equity task force, and this is designed to address kind of the racial disparities when it comes to this pandemic. And we've seen, and as the president noted, different groups have been affected disproportionately by this pandemic. Also going to reimburse schools for protective equipment through a FEMA relief fund. You mentioned reimbursing the National Guard to help administer these vaccines, and they're also going to be issuing guidance for reopening schools, and that's important because that's also part of the 100-day pledge to get schools back up and running.
Now, of course, this is so early in the administration, Caitlin, but how is President Biden's approach to the pandemic differing already from what we saw from the Trump administration?
Well, that press conference right there, I think, kind of shows you everything you need to know at this point about how they are treating this so differently from the prior administration. And we saw in the several months of the presidential campaign that this is something that Biden campaigned on. He campaigned on a referendum against the former president's handling of coronavirus, and has made this issue front and center, developing a COVID team before taking office. I think it's also significant, too, because he is going to, you saw in that press conference, or in that appearance right there, that Dr. Anthony Fauci was present. Biden has also said that they are going to have experts. They're going to, quote, lead with science, as he said. Dr. Fauci is also expected to be in the briefing later this afternoon. And Jen Psaki, White House press secretary, yesterday said that they want to have health experts briefing the press on a regular basis. And then some kind of technical things that we should note. When you're covering the White House, you're required to get a COVID test every day. Yesterday, when we were stationed outside the White House for inauguration, we were all required to wear N95 masks, and they gave them to us. And that's also part of this national mask mandate that the president has now put into place where he can, so on federal property and interstate travel, and also, urging Americans for the next 100 days to mask up. And he said, look, it's going to take several months before a majority of Americans get vaccinated, so these mitigating measures still need to be in place. And of course, he set that big marker of 100 million doses administered in the first 100 days.
Absolutely. And Caitlin, while COVID is obviously a top priority for the president, he has also already signed executive orders on some other subjects. What else is he placing as a priority?
That's right. There's already been a flurry of activity, Tanya, over the past 24 hours, signing lots of different executive actions and executive orders. Some of them include making good on campaign promises, like rejoining the Paris Climate Accord. That was something that he signed yesterday. Rejoining the World Health Organization. He's also putting into place some measures related to immigration, trying to unravel a lot of the Trump administration policies, so halting some deportations, for example, extending protections for Dreamers. He also is going to be introducing an immigration reform package that will have to go through Congress. Another couple of things to look at when he's signing these executive actions are he wants to extend the moratorium on evictions, which of course is really critical for those still suffering from the economic fallout from this pandemic, and also putting a pause on student loans. So those are some of the executive actions that he has signed over the past 24 hours.
Hitting the ground running. All right. Well, Caitlin Huey-Burns, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.